Eli Grant opened his eyes to a bright, spinning world. His head ached and his body felt heavier than before. The air smelled strange, almost like metal mixed with spices. He blinked several times, trying to understand where he was. Around him stood glass walls curved like a cage, and beyond them hundreds of alien faces stared at him. Some had long, thin heads and silver eyes. Others looked reptilian, with scales that shimmered under the neon lights. The noise was overwhelming. Voices shouting, trading, laughing, arguing. It felt like a marketplace, except this one stretched high above ground level, with floating platforms and banners glowing in languages he could not read. Then, he heard it. A voice echoing from somewhere close. Next item for trade, specimen of extinct origin. Designation human male. Eli's chest tightened. He was the item. The realization hit him like a punch. He tried to move, but the energy cuffs on his wrists burned when he struggled. The aliens outside laughed when he flinched. Fragile creature, one said. Too soft, said another. Savage yet pathetic. Eli gritted his teeth but stayed silent. His heart was racing, yet his face stayed calm. He had learned back on Earth's colonies that silence could be a weapon. Let them wonder what he was thinking. Let them fear the quiet. Behind the crowd, a tall auctioneer stood on a floating disc. His voice carried through an amplifier. This rare being is the last of its kind. The human race vanished after the solar collapse. A perfect addition to any collector's gallery. The aliens murmured in interest. Some took notes on glowing tablets. Others tilted their heads, examining Eli as if he were an animal in a zoo. One alien, tall and dressed in red armor, tapped the glass with a clawed finger. Can it understand us? Eli raised his eyes and stared directly at him. His silence made the alien step back, uncomfortable. He understands, the auctioneer said with a smirk. Primitive languages, but enough to obey simple commands. That was when Eli finally spoke, his voice deep but steady. I don't obey. The crowd went silent for a heartbeat. Then laughter burst out everywhere. The auctioneer grinned, pleased. See, a fighter. Even more valuable for those who enjoy taming wild things. The bidding began. The numbers climbed, 30,000, 50,000, 75. Eli stood there, jaw tight, refusing to show fear. Every time someone raised a bid, it felt like another chain closing around him. Then a new voice cut through the noise. Soft, clear, and full of anger. Don't hurt the human. The crowd turned. On the edge of the platform stood a young alien girl, her skin faintly glowing silver, her eyes bright blue like frozen fire. Her clothes were simple but elegant, woven in gold threads that shimmered under the lights. The auctioneer blinked. Princess Lyra of House Valoran? The crowd began to whisper. She was the daughter of one of the most powerful diplomats on the planet of Terea Prime, known for her calm and intelligence. Nobody expected her to attend a slave auction, much less interrupt one. She stepped forward, pointing at Eli. I said don't hurt him, the auctioneer forced a smile. Princess, no one is hurting the specimen. It's only a demonstration. Enough, she said sharply. End the bidding. I'll buy him. The entire place fell silent. Even the hovering drones stopped moving. Eli stared at her, unsure if he heard right. Buy him? The auctioneer's voice trembled slightly. Princess, you must be joking. That creature is dangerous, unpredictable. Lyra looked him in the eye. Then sell him to me before someone else gets hurt. Her tone was calm, but the authority in her voice was unshakable. Within seconds, a digital transfer signal chimed. The auctioneer's device lit up with the highest credit transaction he'd ever received. It's done, he said in disbelief. The human belongs to you, Princess Lyra. The guards opened Eli's cage. The energy cuffs vanished with a hiss, leaving faint burns on his skin. Eli stepped out slowly, his muscles tense. The aliens nearby backed away, whispering. He was free from the cage, but not from danger. Lyra turned toward him. You can walk beside me. Eli didn't move. Why? Because I want to know you, she said simply. Not what others say you are. The guards frowned. One of them muttered, Be careful, Princess. These savages, Lyra cut him off without looking back. If you call him savage again, I'll have you dismissed. The guard froze. Eli almost smiled but kept quiet. As they walked through the marketplace, eyes followed them. Some were curious, others filled with hate. Lyra walked calmly, her long hair reflecting the light like liquid silver. Eli walked beside her, tall, lean, quiet. His dark hair and scarred face a stark contrast to her brightness. When they reached her family's transport ship, Lyra ordered everyone to leave them alone. The ship was shaped like a glass dome, its walls showing the endless city below, towers of crystal, floating bridges, and rivers of light flowing through the air. Eli stood near the edge, staring at the skyline. "You people really built this?" Lyra nodded. "Generations ago, we used to dream of peace with your kind. But then, war stories spread. They said humans destroyed everything they touched." Eli looked down. "We destroyed ourselves long before anyone else could." There was silence. The ship lifted smooth as a whisper, heading toward the sky palace high above the city. Lyra's eyes studied him carefully, the way his jaw tightened, the way he avoided her gaze when speaking. "You don't trust me," she said softly. "I don't trust cages," Eli replied. She smiled faintly. "Then I won't make one for you." When they arrived, she showed him to a guest room made of crystal walls and soft light. There was food placed neatly on a table, fresh fruit, glowing water, and bread-like rolls. "You can eat if you're hungry," she said. Eli didn't move. "How do I know it's not poison?" "If I wanted you dead, you'd already be gone," she said with gentle sarcasm. He glanced at her, surprised by the humor. She didn't act like someone raised in power. Her tone carried warmth, even curiosity. "I don't understand why you did this," Eli said quietly. "You could have bought anything. Why me?" Lyra walked closer, her voice steady. "Because everyone here sees a monster when they look at you. I wanted to see the truth for myself." He looked at her for a long time, unsure how to respond. No one had ever said that to him. Not since Earth fell. Later that night, she came again, holding a holographic tablet. She projected an image, a map of ancient Earth. Oceans, continents, green forests, blue skies. "This was your home, wasn't it?" she asked softly. Eli stepped closer. His eyes softened. "Yes, that was Earth, before the storms. Before we ruined it." Lyra looked at the glowing map. "It's beautiful. My ancestors told stories of humans. Brave, wild, full of heart. But over time, those stories changed. Now they only speak of your anger. Anger keeps you alive," Eli said. "But it also kills what you love most." His voice trembled slightly, but he controlled it. Lyra noticed the pain behind his calm tone. She realized he wasn't dangerous, he was broken, tired and alone. "You lost everything," she said softly. He nodded. "Everyone did." She turned off the hologram and sat down beside him on the floor. "Then maybe it's time someone listened to your side of the story." Eli blinked, confused. "Why would you care?" "Because," she said, looking out at the stars through the glass dome, "I think we've forgotten what it means to feel. My people hide emotions. You don't. Maybe that's why I bought you, not as a thing, but as a reminder." For the first time, Eli didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Minutes passed in silence. The stars outside shimmered brighter as the palace floated higher above the city. Lyra stood, brushing the folds of her silver dress. "Rest tonight. Tomorrow I'll show you the gardens. Maybe you'll find them less frightening than cages." Eli gave a short nod. Maybe. When she left, he sat by the window. The alien city below pulsed with lights like an endless ocean. Somewhere deep in that glowing maze, whispers about the human pet had already begun to spread. But Eli didn't care. For the first time since his capture, someone had looked at him, not as a creature, but as a person. He closed his eyes, hearing Lyra's voice again in his mind. "Don't hurt the human." For some reason, it made his chest feel lighter. Morning came softly on Terea Prime. Light from two suns poured into the sky palace through the crystal walls, painting everything in gold and silver. Eli woke up to a strange sound. Birds that weren't birds at all. Their wings were made of thin metal and light. Their songs soft mechanical hums that floated through the air. He sat up slowly, still trying to adjust to the world that felt both beautiful and unreal. He didn't belong here, and he knew it. Every shining surface reminded him of the dirt and fire of his old world. When the door slid open, Lyra stood there, smiling faintly. "Good morning, human," she said in her calm voice. He gave her a half-smile. "Morning, princess. You remembered my title," she teased. "That's progress." "I remember everything," Eli said. His tone was dry but not cold. She motioned for him to follow. Together they walked through the palace corridors. High halls glowing with floating light crystals and walls covered in alien patterns that looked like flowing water. Every guard they passed lowered their heads to Lyra but stared at Eli with suspicion. He ignored them, but he could feel the unease in the air. They stepped outside into the royal garden, a huge floating island filled with plants that shimmered like glass. The air was warm and sweet. Lyra turned to him. "You've been quiet since last night. Still don't trust me?" Eli looked at the sky. "Trust is something you earn. But I don't hate you if that helps." "It helps," she said softly. She walked to a glowing tree and picked a fruit that looked like a crystal pear. "These are from the deep forests of Serene," she said, handing it to him. "Try it." Eli hesitated, then took a bite. It was cold, sweet, and tasted like nothing he'd ever known. "It's good," he admitted. Lyra smiled, but before she could answer, 2 guards ran into the garden. "Princess," one shouted. "Ambassador Dareth requests immediate audience." "He says it's urgent," Lyra frowned. "About what?" "It's about your new companion," the guard said carefully, his eyes flicking toward Eli. Eli felt his stomach tighten. Trouble. Minutes later, they entered the grand hall where Dareth waited, a tall alien with dark blue skin, sharp eyes, and a cruel smile. He bowed slightly to Lyra, but ignored Eli completely. "Princess," he said, "it seems word has spread across the city. You've bought a human, a living weapon. Do you know what that means?" Lyra stood tall. "I know exactly what I did." Dareth laughed softly. "Then you are more reckless than I thought. Humans are dangerous. Their instincts are violent. They destroy everything they touch. For the safety of this world, he must be handed to the council." Eli said nothing. He could see the soldiers standing behind Dareth, ready to move if ordered. Lyra's eyes hardened. "He has harmed no one. You're judging him for what others did centuries ago." "History repeats itself," Dareth said. "You're a diplomat's daughter, not a scientist or soldier. You don't understand the threat standing beside you." Eli finally spoke. "If I were a threat, you wouldn't be standing there talking." The guards stiffened, hands moving toward their weapons. Dareth sneered. "You see, Princess? The arrogance, the temper. Just like the record said." Lyra stepped in front of Eli. "Enough. You'll leave my home now." "This isn't over," Dareth said coldly. "The council will summon you soon. When they do, they will not be so forgiving." When he left, Lyra turned to Eli. "I'm sorry." "He hates anything he can't control." Eli shrugged. "Every world has people like him." Still, the tension hung heavy. Lyra's father, Lord Veleran, returned later that night. His face was tired, his silver hair pulled back. When he saw Eli, his expression hardened. "Lyra," he said, "what have you done? The entire planet is talking about your decision. You've made us look weak." Lyra stood her ground. "I bought him because no one else would see the truth." Her father sighed deeply. "The truth is that your actions threaten diplomacy. The council believes this human carries the same aggression that destroyed his world. You will hand him over." "No," she said firmly. Veleran's eyes widened. "You would defy your own father?" "If it means protecting someone innocent, yes." Eli watched silently. He could feel the pressure in the room, the struggle between family and duty. Finally, Veleran turned away. "You've changed, Lyra. Maybe this human already infected your mind." She didn't answer. When her father left, she sat down heavily on a bench. Eli came closer but said nothing. After a while, she spoke softly. "They'll come for you, Eli. They'll take you by force if I don't give you up." "Then let them try," he said. Her eyes widened. "You can't fight them all." He looked at her, calm but determined. "I've been fighting to stay alive since my world burned. I won't stop now." She shook her head, tears glimmering faintly. "I don't want you hurt because of me." "I've been hurt worse," he said quietly. "But if I run, they'll just hunt me, and they'll use you as bait." Lyra stood and placed her hand on a crystal pillar, thinking. Then she turned to him. "There's a place under the city. An old research ship from your people crashed there long ago. Maybe it has something that can prove who you really are, what humans truly were. If we show them your history, maybe they'll see reason." Eli nodded. "Then we go there." That night they left the palace in disguise. She wore a dark hood and he wrapped his face with cloth. They moved through the glowing streets, passing markets, neon lights, and watched drones floating silently above. At the edge of the lower district, they found a half-buried wreck, an old ship with markings Eli recognized instantly. His heart raced. "This is Terran design," he whispered. "Old military science class. Pre-collapse era." Inside, dust floated in the cold air. Machines slept in silence. Lyra followed as Eli activated a power core using the faint signal from his wrist chip, something even he didn't know still worked. A soft blue light filled the chamber and a holographic figure appeared, a recording of a woman in uniform. "This is Captain Mira Holt of the Sol expedition," the hologram said. "If anyone finds this, remember us. We fought to save what was left of Earth. We weren't monsters. We were dreamers who ran out of time." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "She's human?" Eli nodded slowly. "She was one of our best. She died trying to save others." The hologram continued, showing flashes of Earth, children playing, cities shining under a blue sky, laughter, oceans, art, music. Not war, not destruction, just life. Lyra turned toward Eli, her voice shaking. This is who you were. They lied to us." Before he could reply, the sound of footsteps echoed through the corridor. Dareth appeared with soldiers behind him. His smile was cruel. Touching, truly. "But it changes nothing. The Council has ordered your surrender." Eli stepped forward. "You'll have to take me." Dareth raised a weapon. "Gladly." The blast came fast, but Eli moved quicker, grabbing a fallen metal rod, deflecting the shot and disarming one soldier in a single motion. Lyra screamed for them to stop. Another guard lunged, but Eli ducked and swept his legs, knocking him unconscious. "See?" Dareth shouted. "Violence. This is what humans do." Eli froze. His eyes burned with anger, but he didn't strike again. "I only fight when I have to," he said quietly. Lyra stepped between them. He defended himself. "You attacked him first." Dareth's face twisted. "Enough. Both of you will come with me, alive or dead." But before he could fire again, Lyra raised her hand. The walls of the old ship shimmered, reacting to her command code. The defense system recognized her royal identity and activated an energy barrier, trapping Dareth's men inside a glowing field. Eli stared at her in disbelief. "You did that?" She nodded. "They taught me diplomacy, not war. But I learned fast." They ran toward the exit as alarms blared. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the city. They stopped on a high ledge, overlooking the towers below. Dareth's soldiers were still behind the barrier, shouting orders. Lyra turned to Eli, breathing hard. "We can't go back. My father will have to choose between his daughter and the Council. He'll protect the Council." Eli shook his head. "We'll show them the truth instead." She blinked. "How?" "The ship's data core," he said. "It's still transmitting. Every screen, every tower in this city. It can broadcast what we found. The message of Captain Holt, the real story of humanity." She smiled faintly. "Then let's do it." They connected the core to a communication terminal nearby. The light from the data spread through the cables like fire through veins. One by one, every holoscreen in the city lit up with images of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, laughter, courage, love. The words of the captain echoed across the city. "We weren't monsters. We were human." Crowds gathered below, stunned. The propaganda that painted humans as beasts began to crumble. Even Lyra's father stood before the broadcast in silence, realization dawning in his eyes. When Dareth's troops finally reached them, they were too late. The people had already seen the truth. Some of the soldiers lowered their weapons, uncertain. Dareth shouted at them to fire, but no one moved. Lyra faced him. "Call him Savage if you want," she said, her voice carrying across the platform. "Then call me Savage too, because I've seen more kindness in this human than in 1,000 of our kind." Her words echoed through the comm systems, replayed by the city's speakers. The crowd below cheered softly at first, then louder and louder. Dareth's authority crumbled under the sound. He backed away, defeated, while Lyra stood beside Eli, both breathing hard but unbroken. Later, as the city quieted, they returned to the palace under protection of the people. Lyra's father met them at the gate. His expression was no longer angry, only humbled.